Welcome again online, welcome again in the room. This is the last event of today, and it's Margaret's keynote that I'm really looking forward to because I've been following Margaret's work basically since I was a member of the Turtle. I became a member of the Turtle Stitch community, and I love the way Margaret runs her workshops. This is not a workshop, but I hope, and I'm quite sure that a keynote will be equally awesome. So Margaret, the stage is yours. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm acutely aware that I'm standing between you and a wine tasting later on, which is cracking scheduling, so I'm not going to overrun, that's for sure. Can you hear me okay in the room? Yeah. Okay, so when Jadga asked me to give a keynote, I was reflecting on what I could maybe bring to you based on my experience. I've been a software developer and teaching for many years now. So I thought I would talk about, and I realise I'm standing in the wrong place, but creativity, context and community. And this is something that's run through a lot of our activities. One of the things I really want to have in my classrooms when I'm teaching is I want the young people to pull information from me. I don't like pushing information at them. I want to flip it. And these are the sort of terms that I think about when I'm creating activities and delivering courses. So my department is WMG, which used to stand for Warwick Manufacturing Group. So our roots, if you like, are in engineering and in manufacturing. However, and I've been there quite a long time, however, we have got into so many other things. We do engineering, manufacturing, material science, cybersecurity, and agri-tech. So we've got a very broad spectrum. And the difference between my department and maybe other university departments is we're very applied. We work closely with industry. And a lot of my time in WMG has been doing either semi-commercial research work or actually commercial work with companies. So I'm a database person by background. I've spent many years designing and building relational databases. I haven't done too much development over the last 10 years or so, so I'm probably a little bit rusty, but I've programmed in a lot of different languages as well. But anyway, this is Warwick. This is the building I work in, which is the International Manufacturing Centre. And if you ever come to Warwick, you have to learn to love geese because our campus is rotten with them. There's many, many geese. They're lovely, but they build nests in inconvenient places in front of the door to the student halls of residence. And the students have to go in the fire exit. So the geese are a bit of a pest at times, but we live together with them. Who am I? Well, I teach at the University of Warwick. I've been involved in research projects. But the thing that I do that I think I love the most now is I look after the WMG outreach team. We go into schools and work with young people to raise awareness of STEM careers. These are my two fantastic colleagues. We've all got different backgrounds. I'm a computer scientist. Phil is a chemist. Marie doesn't come from a STEM background. So we work together. And because we're diverse in terms of subjects, it works really well for us together. One of the things I wanted to share is it's not just working with schools. The point is widening participation. In the UK, the people in our professions don't really reflect the communities that surround them, whether that's people of colour or women or whatever, there's an imbalance. So that's what we're targeting and that's what we're working with. This is a survey, Polar 4, which is it's a data set that it's based on people's postcodes, and it tells you how likely or how many people in that postcode have gone to university. I created this little graphic here because the University of Warwick is about here, there somewhere. And it shows you that the areas where people are very unlikely to go to university, the red areas. So we're in a bit of a north-south divide. So we don't just go and work with schools, we target the schools in these areas because it's about encouraging those young people, raise aspirations, raise awareness of the careers that are out there. And the other thing is, although this is about higher education, the outreach we do is not just about recruiting people to Warwick. We're not that cynical. Because we're in engineering, we recognise as well there's many routes into engineering. So there's apprentice routes, there's degree apprentice routes, there's undergraduate degrees. So there's lots of ways that people can end up in engineering careers. And in my department, we have a range of different professions. So because we're a technical department, we have a lot of time-served technical engineers. And they build the most amazing things, and we are so dependent on their skills. There are people that are academic, involved in teaching and research, but we also have sort of professional people that are there to sort out other things, HR and various other things. But what I like is when we do outreach and ask for people to come and help us, they come from all of these areas. So it's not just the teaching staff, it's not just the research teams. We do a lot of work with the technical team, and we also have our own apprentices because we've got a big machine hall. So we have young people join us at 16 to 18 on an apprenticeship, and they work through that. So we're a real mix of skills and a real mix of people involved in doing outreach. The reason I came up with the title is because I think there's three aspects to activities to consider. First of all, creativity. And I'm just explaining kind of some of the things I mean. I was initially going to deal with them all separately, but it doesn't make sense to me to deal with them all separately because they're all interlinked. They're all ways of getting engagement with young people. So creativity, I think, can be really hard to define because what one person finds as creative may not be creative to another person. It's easier sometimes to show examples of it. And when I say creativity, I tend to be thinking of it in two ways. The first of all is about that creative activities in the classroom for young people to engage them. But the second is creative approaches to teaching. And I consider that separately, if you like, because I feel there are lots of different approaches and you can explore this in different ways. In terms of context, context, I think, is so important to motivate young people. If it's relevant to their interests, they're going to work harder on it than you setting them a problem. And it's a great opportunity to make interdisciplinary connections so you can bring in other subjects. And when I'm doing programming activities, most of my students at Warwick are not going to be programmers. They're not computer scientists. So I've got to find ways to engage with them that will mean they care about programming, not just about the marks at the end of the course. It also helps build resilience. If people care about something, they're going to try and keep going over the hurdles a bit more. The final thing in this ring is community. And I use community in different ways, depending on what I'm thinking about. But there's lots of different types of community. There can be a learning community in your classroom. There can be online communities. But it's basically where peer-to-peer learning takes place. I want to foster collaboration and build a sense of belonging so that people are not ashamed to ask questions of each other, They're happy to chat to people and do activities. And it helps build confidence, that sense of belonging. So where did I start with this? I started a long time ago at Warwick teaching a programming course that was a very unloved course, I think. People had decided on a course that the students should have some experience of programming. Now, I don't know if anybody's taught programming just past the turn of the millennium, but I was told, oh, they're going to need to use Java. It's built in. They're going to have commercial experience, and they're going to be using Eclipse. And it was a very early version of Eclipse. So the course had already been designed, and somebody'd run it 2 or 3 years, and I think they'd thought, I've had enough of this. And I got it, because I was doing Java development, and I was using, in fact, it was Java enterprise development, using various frameworks and all sorts of bits of software. So it came my way to teach it. And myself and the students, well, I think we survived, I think is the best way of saying. I'm not sure they loved the experience, and I'm not sure I loved the experience, but we kept going together. They were underwhelmed by what they could produce with those tools, completely underwhelmed. And me trying to find a context that mattered to the students with these tools was also quite a challenge. We did have, though, quite a good sense of community, whether that was because we were all suffering together in the classroom trying to get through Java and Eclipse. I'm not so sure, I don't know. But I also ran a lot of little group activities, because you can only spend so long in front of a computer before you start going a bit nuts, I think. So I used to do activities that linked to coding away from the computer as well. So we had a good sense of community. But I did get really, really bored with these tools. I can't tell you how fed up I was. We were creating interfaces for ticket machines for buses. We were creating interfaces for parking meters and all sorts of stuff. It was getting grim, yeah? These are industry standard tools. It did look good for the students to have these on their CVs. It did give them opportunities, but it just wasn't, I was never going to convert anybody to the beauty and joy of computing with these tools. So after a few years, we started exploring a bit more. And I looked at BlueJ. I don't know if anybody does any Java programming, but BlueJ is very nice. But I settled on Greenfoot. These are tools that are produced by Michael Colling, who is a very, very experienced computer scientist in education in the UK. He's written a lot of really interesting things, and they've developed some wonderful tools. And we just fell in love with Greenfoot. Absolutely in love with Greenfoot, because what it allows you to do is create 2D animations, 2D simulations, and games, which did appeal to the students. So that really did improve the motivation. The other key thing that this enabled us to do, I think the students for the first time really had a good understanding of objects, because this tool allowed us to teach an objects first approach. And I think that was, I'd always given the students examples of object-oriented programming, but I think for complete beginners to really understand it without spending a significant amount of time is quite hard. This cracked it, really did crack that objects first approach. So I was delighted with this tool, absolutely delighted. We then found some more. So we found App Inventor, because the students kept asking, how do I develop apps with this? How can I develop apps? And it wasn't easy, because I did not think that they would have enough skills to go into the Google tools or the Apple tools to create apps. So App Inventor just appeared at the right time for us. So we spent a fair bit of the time with Greenfoot learning Java. And then other parts of time, we did some app inventing and used App Inventor. And they loved it. They could create applications that ran on their phones. And they would often be creating other things than I had wanted them to create. And I could see how motivated they were. And I thought that was really lovely. However, we then came to the challenge of assessment, right? And I would set the problems for them and they would do them, but without enthusiasm. So I could see we had a problem with the assessment. I finally managed to change the assessment so they could choose what they wanted to do. Now, I'm able to do that because the university went with me in terms of agreeing to do this. If I'm at a school, I appreciate this is not an option for people. You are teaching to an external exam. What I had to agree to, though, was we had to agree, me and the students, what level of complexity of application they were going to develop. And in order to do that, I found the business model canvas to be really useful. First of all, it helped the students clarify their ideas. They're not programmers. They're not going to be spending a lot of time understanding specification. They were wrestling with Java. And it took up a lot of time building that confidence, giving them hands-on activities. What this allowed them to do very quickly on an A3 sheet was put down their ideas. We could discuss it. They could discuss it with each other. They would suggest things to each other. But eventually what would happen is I would agree the specification. If I felt it wasn't challenging, they would have to go and add some more stuff to it. So it was a negotiation, which was fine. So that if you like, was my experience about search and why I've ended up with sort of creativity, context and community. Because I feel that was what I learned through trying to do this course. Now, I taught this course for over 18 years. So me and this course had a bit of a love-hate relationship over the time. But I learned so much by doing that because I could try different things and I could explore. Normally, when you teach a course, you might teach it 3 or 4 years and then you'd move on to something else. Nobody wanted to pick this course up, I think. So I had it for 18 years. But it was the last 10 years or so were fantastic because the students, the creativity, they worked so hard to get their applications working. I cannot tell you. They worked 3 times as hard. They were working every evening. When they were doing my assessment, they couldn't escape out of the classroom quick enough. Whereas with this, they were going home and working on it, working their socks off. It was brilliant. Is that a phrase? It's an English phrase, maybe. Working your socks off means you're working really hard. Okay. So that was, I really felt we ticked all those 3 boxes with this class. And that's where I came to sort of appreciate context and community were part of that. I still had the issue. I was interested in doing outreach. Now, it was about June 2007 when I came across Scratch. And it was a revelation to me. Prior to that, I'd been looking at Squeak, I'd been looking at eToys and Squeak, I'd been looking at lots of different things to use, but I didn't really feel I could see how I could work with secondary school pupils on it, but I couldn't see how to use it with primary school children. And that was where I got stuck. But when Scratch came, I discovered Scratch June 2007, and I was so happy because I just lost myself in Scratch and watching what was going on and the community side. The community side of Scratch was just fascinating. I would look at it every day to watch what was emerging. And I just can't tell you how excited. So I think, just checking my notes, I think really it ticked all the creativity boxes. The context, young people could pick their context, and we had a community. You know, it was built in. Normally, as a coder, you've got your language and you're working away and you're hunting for where do the programmers in this language hang out so that you can ask questions and share expertise. So this community just was fantastic. So I'm just going to share with you my favorite project. And the thing is, the Scratch community, this caramel dancing, if you'd not come across it, was an internet meme about 2005, 2006. Do you know about it? Not everybody, okay. Well, I was watching every bit of the community online doing their version of caramel dancing. And suddenly it popped into Scratch. And I was like, this is wonderful. And what's happening here, I'll show you the video in a minute, but before we go to the video, I just want to explain what's happening here. There's young people in the community. Somebody started this project and did initial animation. And then they've said, remix it, add yours, upload it. So it just kind of pinged about all these different versions. So I was delighted years later to be able to track this down and create a little video of it. Yeah?
The sister's actually from another person.
Yeah. So there's many people, and you'll see that when we play the video. You'll see there's many people. I think there's a few sneaky adults in here taking part of the fun as well, but I'll leave that to do it. So we just need to change the sound so that you can hear the video. Right, we got the sound back to me. So there you can see there was lots of different ages of people collaborating that had never met each other. And that's the power of the community, if you like, there. That is just my favorite thing. I have shared this project with quite a few people, and I found several people that could do the dance. But obviously we're not that generation, I don't think, here. So that was really lovely time watching what was happening with Scratch. And I was running a lot of workshops for teachers. However, I think it's very difficult for a teacher to come along, get some training, and then be confident enough to go back and run it in their classroom. I would end up in the classroom running the workshops for the children. And that was fine, but I was getting peppered with demands. There was far more requests for sessions than I could possibly deal with. So I looked around me at Warwick to see what resources we could put together. And I created a sort of community project with Warwick volunteers called the Technology Volunteers. Now, these guys are undergraduate students, or were undergraduate students in 2015, but these guys were all undergraduate students. When I set it up, I initially trained them, and then I just thought, do you know something? They can run this themselves. They don't need me. So it became student run. They would recruit their friends, and they would recruit their flatmates. We had people from all over the university. We even had a member of staff pretending to be a student to come and help with this. So it was a real joy to work with these students. And I'm sure some of you met the students at some of the Scratch conferences. They were so creative. When we got the leaders together, they would be saying, oh, we need to try this, we need to try that. And they were completely fearless. We would be in a taxi, maybe going off to a school, and they'd say, let's do Flappy Bird with them. It was a new game at that time. And I went, no, do one of your standard workshops, work it out and try it. No, we're going to do it. So they were teaching these primary school children, which were 10 to 11, how to do Flappy Bird. And I wasn't sure the kids' maths were up to it. But they got through it. They had multiple versions of Flappy Bird going. So full marks to them because they were just fearless at what they did. What they're doing here, this is Uke's fault here. This is Uke's fault because Uke decided to try and organise European Scratch conferences, which gave us a fantastic outlet to share the work they were doing. So here they're at the Amsterdam 2015 conference, building some sort of sensors. We used to do a lot of Scratch workshops, but then we managed to find some money and bought a whole load of these Scratch sensor boards. And that just changed what we wanted to do. And so they were building tilt sensors with water bottles, all sorts of mad things that they would do. It was really, really fun. So in terms of community, they built a community around this project, if you like. They brought creativity, and they would just make up context on the taxi on the way to the school, deciding to do Flappy Bird. So I loved working with them. I still do work with them. One of the things, because nobody was teaching Scratch in 2008 in our schools, we were getting lots and lots of demand to run workshops. And we also got invited to many UK teacher conferences to run workshops there as well, because the teachers didn't know how to use Scratch. Now that's changed. Most teachers have experienced Scratch, but they were a fantastic crew to work with. Right, next slide. This is somebody else I met at Scratch 2015. Uke had met Andrea and Michael and invited them to come and run a workshop. And it was a fantastic experience. You're going from a virtual design in Turtle Stitch to a physical stitched product. And I can't tell you how meaningful that is. And this is my first program. This is my first program that Andrea stitched. So I really enjoyed it. I was so excited by the opportunities, really. Because for me, with my engineering department, if you like, this is manufacturing in the classroom. Yeah? So it gives young people an experience in an afternoon of going from a virtual design, shoving it on the machine, 5 minutes later, they've got their design, physical design. And that is just really, you know, I know we can do it with 3D printing. I completely get the value of 3D printing. But when you've got a class of 30 students, 3D printing 30 bits of plastic is going to take you a fair old time. So the embroidery machines are the way to go until I think GCSE, until when they're starting to do individual projects. But this was a revelation. It took me 3 years of trying to find funding, little pots of money and things, before I was able to buy our first machine. So this is my department, if you like. This is our main machine hall. Yeah, they can build anything in there, and our technical team are absolutely outstanding. One of the nice things about Warwick is the value that's placed on the technical team, because there isn't a lot of them, but they can go on the same grades. They've got the same scale that allows them to be paid the same as a professor, okay? So that says we value you to the technicians. So anyway, I do like the technicians. Now, I haven't got a picture of them. Up here is where they decided where to put our embroidery machine. So we had our embroidery machine and it's machined, so it's got to go somewhere. So this is too messy and too noisy. So they decided to put us into the additive layer manufacturing lab, which was fine. We were happy because we'd got a little plastic 3D printer as well that we could shove in there. However, in order to use that machine, we had to put on safety boots because it's a lab area. We had to put on a lab coat and we had to have safety glasses on. Right? No. No, it was not a fashion outfit, you know. It's not one you're going to snap and put on Instagram, yeah? Yeah, it's positive. So anyway, that was us whenever we wanted to do a bit of embroidery. Get your safety boots out, guys, and get things. Anyway, one more picture. The day this arrived, okay, and our guys are used to 3D printing. They can 3D print in metal, multiple metals. They can 3D print in resin. They do a lot of things. They even do a lot of scanning with the police, sort of forensic, to solve forensic crimes. So these guys are used, our technicians are used to technology. However, the embroidery machine, the arrival of the embroidery machine was something really special. And this is what...
Where the
Yeah, well, there was training, so we were able to get in there without all the gear, but they were wearing safety boots, because that's their rigor, that's what they wear. But anyway, you couldn't see the machine for technicians clustered around them. They all wanted training on it. There was such an excitement, and the person that had delivered the machine. We're standing in a 3D printing lab with metal printing machines behind us, color 3D printers, all of this raft of technology. And so he's going, what's that? What's that? What's that? And they're going, oh, the machine. So it was a real fun day. Anyway, yeah, the other thing I need to say is we got a lot of requests to put their names on their workwear and all sorts of things. So we were embroidering patterns onto machinery, T-shirts and things. People used to come to me and go, oh, could you put my name on my hoodie or whatever? They gave up eventually because they realized I couldn't put anything into this machine straight. So they would get their name at a jaunty angle, you know, and it was unpredictable what it came out as. But they gave up eventually. Okay, so my main interaction with Snap, if you like, is in the context of Turtle Stitch. And because of that link to manufacturing, that's why it's valuable to us. So, where am I? Yes. So, yeah. The other interesting thing is that Coventry has a history of textile design and ribbon making. So that goes through a lot of Coventry history. So when Coventry was UK City of Culture in 2021, we had to do something with this embroidery machine. So we created projects with we created resources so the schools could use them. We were going to go in and take a machine in to stitch the children's design. However, COVID hit. So we weren't able to go into schools. So we had to rely on these passionate teachers who knew it was UK City of Culture year, delivering our resources in the classroom with us being on call, if you like. So I'm so grateful the teachers that did that because it was such a hard time teaching during COVID. Hats off to those teachers. But it did mean there was a separation between the work being stitched and the design. And I was determined to close that gap. Carried on fundraising. And in 2024, we got enough funding to buy 7 embroidery machines for local schools. So each school that took part in the project the second time round was able to get their own embroidery machine. That makes a huge difference to what they're doing, having the machine there, because they immediately start plotting how else they're going to use it. Yeah. Whereas when they borrowed a machine from me, it had to come back to me and they knew they'd only got it for a limited time. Also, they look after their own machine better than they do have ones on loans as well. But the thing about Turtle Stitch is it exemplifies engineering in the classroom. It links maths, computing and design and technology. And in the UK, it ticks all the boxes for the curriculum at Key Stage 2, which is children 9 till 12, if you like. So there is such a good link here. It was too good an opportunity to not exploit it, if you like. So Turtle Stitch, creative activity. You can see the work of the schools. This doesn't look like a high wall, but this wall is 3 meters high. And the nice thing is schools could choose the context. So this is a creative activity. The young people could develop what pattern they liked on a theme. So this school, Wembrook, decided they were going to do dream catchers. Other schools picked different patterns. Oh, everything okay. Templars decided to do a theme of belonging, and they nested everything all together so it all belonged. Some lovely work here. I now have got another £2,000 of funding, so I've bought another 2 machines. So I now have 9 primary schools with their own embroidery machine. The teachers are really getting to grips with the machine. It was the right decision to buy the machines for the schools because it meant they could get used to the machine. If you just loan them for 6 weeks or something, they weren't getting enough confidence in using the machine. They're linking it to enterprise activities. They're creating bookmarks to sell, coasters. They're doing all sorts of different things. So that was really nice. So I would say we tick the creativity box, we tick the context box, and there is a community forming around it in school. Where I need to do a bit more work is linking the teachers up, and that has been hard. I have tried this year several times, but there is a lot of pressures in our school. So I have to be mindful of the teachers' time. But I'm just so pleased they're all using the machines. So that's Turtle Stitch in formal settings. But there's a whole load of activities go on in home education around libraries and things. And I discovered locally, we have several really small maker spaces in local libraries. So I decided to try and sort of get in touch, and I discovered they weren't really using the embroidery machines. And this is a gift to them because they can now include it in their coding clubs and everything else. So I've run several workshops with Rugby Library Makerspace, and I'm going to build on that. And my sneaky plan is to just, get it going in another few areas. So that's a work in progress at the minute. Yeah. One of the problems we face in the UK is work experience. Now, my team, we're responsible for doing interventions with young people. We have to produce a quarterly report of what we're doing and an annual report. So there is pressure on us, if you like, to be careful and thoughtful about what we do. I think people assume in a university department there's a freedom, but I think because of our traditional links to industry, we take quite an industry-focused approach in our department. That's not true across Warwick, but it's true in my department because of the history of it. So, work experience. The government says every pupil should have first-hand experience, right? And what this translates in as Year 10 students should have experience of the workplace. If you look at how many year 10 students we've got, and you compare it to how many work experience placements, there is a huge mismatch. There is many more young people. And this is a problem for us because schools then ask parents, you find a placement. We can't find placements for everybody. And that means children of families that don't have professional networks to seek placements are excluded. And that is a problem. And it's not just a problem in year 10, it goes on. Because if they then go on to apply for apprenticeships or university or whatever it is, a job, they have nothing in their CV that says they're passionate about engineering. And that's a sort of double exclusion going forward. So what we tried to do was put together a scheme in my department. Now we take 30 young people on our work experience, and we have a model that is project-based, if you like. It's authentic to engineering because they're working on projects. So we've got 5 work experience students. We've got 2 members of staff. These can be teaching staff, research staff, any members of staff. We have 2 people assigned to that project, but the thing is they don't need to be there all the time, so they can swap over and go to meetings. Everybody is in a room together, so we have 6 project tables active at one time, and we're supervising them. The benefit is safeguarding things, we're all in together. There's nobody off in a corner with anybody. It meets a lot of the safeguarding issues. So this, oh yeah, Turtle Stitch, where does Turtle Stitch fit into this? It fits into the manufacturing and automation. So each of these projects, they're not just made up, they link to active activities in our department. And it changes each year, different projects, depending on the staff that are going to be supervising the project. So the young people are able to have, as mentors for their table, people that are actually working on this area. So it's not just a standard off the shelf, it is genuinely linked to our activities. And that's one of the things that we try to do, is make sure all the projects and all the activities we do link to us. So there you can see us all in together. On each table, there's an undergraduate ambassador who's in orange. The members of staff are harder to spot, but never mind, we're in there. And as I say, it's authentic. And our staff have taken a variety of routes into their careers. So there's a lot of conversations, informal conversations go on in these tables. It's really nice to see. When the students come on day 1, on Monday, they don't know people. They don't speak. And our staff go home on Monday going, they're not speaking to me, it's going to be a terribly long week. But by the end of the week, they are busy chatting, sorting the projects. And what we ask the students to do on the Friday afternoon is they get given a table, they get given a board, and they have to demonstrate their project. We invite their parents, their teachers, faculty staff. We invite our Vice-Chancellor who comes in. He's really impressed with this. So he comes and he opens the event for us. So there's a lot of senior staff come to this to see what we're doing. So what you're going to see in a minute is a video of the work experience. And these are the young people sharing what they've been doing. By the Friday, we can't stop them talking about their projects. So if you could swap over the sound.
This week has been all about gathering students from all over Coventry. We have 14 schools, and we're bringing them into our engineering department at the WMG and taking part in some engineering projects. So we had 31 bags to design for all of our colleagues in 5 hours, but the bag had to have a link to the environment.
My project is a fire suppression system to help put out battery fires, which a human couldn't do.
We have gone through some difficulties and stuff, but as a team, we've overcome them.
I've really enjoyed this week, and I mainly like getting to know everyone and being able to work as a team.
At first I got here, I didn't know anybody. When you go for a job interview, you're going to have to be confident. This teaches you how to be confident. It gives you the skills you need.
I think in the future, moving into coding is becoming much more of a valuable skill. Before this week, I completely didn't know how to code an Arduino, and over this week, I have learned how to do that.
As project manager, I had to do a lot of organization. Who knows, maybe I'll be a project manager one day.
Our project failed 3 times. As team leader, I had to stay positive. I had to encourage my team to keep going. And by the end of the day, we fixed it. We got it up and running, and we were very excited.
Every one of the students here today has carried themselves in a way where they're talking to colleagues and peers. They're no longer talking to people of their own age on the playground. They're talking to work professionals.
This was an amazing week. I didn't know how to code before. That's something I can proudly say I can do now. I can code things.
Much better than a normal work experience. It was much more interactive. I feel like I got more done and I learned more.
Honestly, I think this is such a good experience, something that I would encourage to the year 9s and the years below.
The ambassadors and the staff here were very nice to me. They were kind, helping, supportive whenever you needed it.
It feels good. Everyone's saying while doing it, feels good, yeah.
If we can swap back sound. Okay, are we good to go? Thank you. Right. Okay, so that was our work experience. That's the 3rd time we've run it. So we've worked with 90 young people. If they hadn't come on this work experience, these are young people that the school said would never find their own work placement. So they would have probably gone into the canteen and been serving dinners or whatever. I don't know what they would have been done, or have nothing to put on their CV. So it was such a positive experience. Now, each of those projects I showed you, we were evaluating in terms of their creativity in there. The context is relatable for the young people. And the other thing is that there is a sense of community, and you could see the sense of community that was built in that room. They were all sharing ideas across the tables as well. So they were saying, oh, why don't you do this? What about trying this? So they were encouraging each other. It was absolutely fantastic. It took me 2 weeks to get back to normal because we were so hyped by the experience. So what are we doing now? So we've had an intern this summer. I was determined that we'd hit more creative aspects of computing, if you like. So we got an intern in, Thomas Lamb, who's been building paper flowers and 3D printed flowers, and he's created worksheets. So these resources, if people are interested, are available on our website. You need to look for the microbit section, or just go to the Warwick website and type in mechanical flowers. We're the only department in Warwick that are doing mechanical flowers. So we set out to create resources that we can use in the classroom, and that's what's happening here. But we also asked Tom to create some showpieces that we could demonstrate. And these respond, so he's got multiple of these models. That one's responding to touch. There's a light sensor, there's a proximity sensor. So he's got multiple versions of this. So that's what we've been working on this summer, looking at the creative aspects. We do a lot of robotics, and we have a smart cities project that we do a lot of things with that again links to our research, but we just wanted to really hit the artist side. Just to finish off, getting towards the end, I just wanted to share, this is some of the work we did with young people. And when we say Turtle Stitch is a creative community, we did this in an afternoon at one of the local schools. And it just shows you the range of skills These are all tend to be rotational patterns because that's how we introduce turtle stitch to them. Last week they're all different stitches as well. One of the things I'm not scared of doing is giving the children design constraints, because it can be quite a challenge to stitch all the patterns in an afternoon in the class, as we all know, because we've all lived with this. So I am ruthless with my design constraints. First of all, some of these are in colour, but now I would say it's got to be white. If I've got dark felt with me, they can choose the colour of felt, but they have the design constraint that it's going to be white. If I've got light felt with me, they're going to get black thread. So I'm happy to do that. I know other turtle stitchers let people choose. I know you let them choose, but with our design constraints, we've got a manufacturing cell here and we need throughput. So that's what we're focusing on. So that's some of the work of children aged 9 and 11. But last week we were running a workshop at Talking Maths in Public, and that's a UK conference for maths communicators. So I knew we were going to get some interesting patterns. And I ran a tutorial on, well, not a tutorial, I did a follow me showing them how they could use recursion in their patterns. So you can see the results. It's all over social media as well. So it was a beautiful session. It was 90 minutes and I did restrict them. They were only allowed to use running stitch and white thread, and it was still 20 patterns. So just to sort of wrap up, when we are putting activities together, we do use this creativity, context, and community. It's at the heart of what we're doing. And I think if you get that sweet spot in the middle, the young people take over the activity. They're driving it. We're not driving it. And that really is what I'm trying to work towards whenever I'm doing things. Okay, I realise that I'm standing between you and a sort of wine tasting event for the people here. For the people online, you're going to have to go and grab a bottle or have something to drink, whatever. It's up to you. But I want to say thank you. This community has been such a fabulous community. I think you started the European community, if you like, with the Scratch conferences. So I thank you, Luke, for you and Frank really were the creative geniuses behind that. But yeah, but it is such a wonderful community to be part of. And I have learned so much from people in this community. And I also thank you for the opportunity to share my work that I have been doing. And Turtle Stitch is such, Andrea, it's just such a fantastic project and it just hits everything. One last thing I suppose I should share is our website. Look at that. So we've got a lot of resources online. We've got the mechanical flowers. So anyway, it's all available free.
No, it's not going to be a hard question. I might not have been paying due attention, but when did the requirement to teach Java change? Was that because they forgot about it after you showed them Turtle Stitch?
I've never taught undergraduate students in a module. I have taught them informally, and I run workshops for the maths undergraduate maths club. But the module, people decided that we taught Java for about 22 years. I'd done 18 years, and it was Python was the language that a lot of the students needed to do data science. So they shut down my module and I was released to do other things. I now teach e-business module. So yeah, with colleagues, because I have very little e-business expertise. So I'm very reliant on my colleagues.
So that's the first time that switching from programming to business was actually beneficial in a way that's unheard of. Thank you so much.
It was a joy to teach the students using those tools. And I think we should be aware of how rich an environment we're in. And if there's a message to finish with, it's we should be telling more teachers about the joys of these languages. We should be sharing. We've got a responsibility to bring more people into this community. When I picked this module up, Eclipse and Java were not motivating, And so I think we're in a rich environment. We should be doing more to share it.
Such an excellent message. Thank you. I was wondering, have you explored using conductive thread and then doing integration with the circuitry?
Yes,
Ooh.
I have. However, the limitations of conductive thread are that you'll spend more time with a multimeter tracking disconnects. In my experience, maybe conductive thread has got a lot better, but when I was last playing it with it, it was about 2019.
Okay.
There is a secret though. If you put conductive thread into a machine, put it into the bobbin end, not the top end, because it doesn't destroy it quite so quickly.
Yes.
But I find conductive thread to be quite frustrating. So yeah, I spend more time with the multimeter, too much time with the multimeter and not doing creative things for me. But maybe somebody's developed a wonderful conductive thread.
Is there a question?
Max is just saying in the chat that, and I just wanted to say the same thing. It's nice if you just do the designs and then hand stitch the conductive thread in
good
the
idea.
designs, because it breaks a lot more frequently than other thread too. At least for me. Maybe also for everybody in the room, Margaret has a great exhibition over there. Maybe I can join with my phone and show it to the online people. Yeah, wait. Okay, yeah. The question is that this is Margaret's designs, and there are QR codes to each of the designs. And the question was, where do they lead to, or what do they lead to?
So the QR codes under the pattern lead to the code for that pattern. So they run to the Turtle Stitch website. Please do not critique my code. This was a series of things that I started doing during lockdown, and I called it Emerging Patterns. And it's on the Warwick website, the ideas and the animations of the patterns, which I think give you an insight into how they were created. The QR code there takes you straight to the website, so you can critique my code if you wish, or play with it. There is some pretty rubbish code in there, heads up. But the QR code at the bottom takes you to the Warwick website, where I explain some of the patterns. This is what you get if you're stuck at home during COVID with an embroidery machine and lots of time. Normally when we write programs, you write it with a purpose. My only purpose in this was to see what creative patterns I could create by stepping forward, coming back, hopping, stepping forward, coming back. I just did silly algorithms. I called it doodling. And as a programmer, I've never done that before. So it was really liberating.
So I felt your pain about Java and Eclipse, because that was done to me as a student in university. I was at the other side of the receiving.
Student.
No. It wasn't you. It wasn't you. Someone else did it to me. I was just wondering, what was the age of the people that did the recursive designs? Because those were very impressive.
They were adults. They were mathematicians.
Okay.
And most of them were maths communicators.
Okay.
So they were either maths teachers or professional maths communicators. And they just ran away with the patterns. I mean, I just did a follow me. And by the time I was 20 minutes in, they were freestyling, the whole lot of them. So it was really fun to work with them. Yeah, there was some really sophisticated patterns.
Yeah.
I didn't understand some of the code they wrote. but it was mainly recursive.
Thanks.
Yeah, let me quickly check whether there are any other questions online.
No, I think people want to.
Max wants to shout out to the Turtle Stitch Roadie Rob. So Rob, there's a shout out to you too. And a lot of people said that they loved your keynote and that the story that you shared was really great.
Okay.
So.
I just wanted to thank Margaret in the name of the Turtle Stitch community for all they did for the Turtle Stitch platform and all the users that, all the people that are using it. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much.
then thanks, Margaret, again. Thanks, everybody who participated today.